Hey everyone! I hope you had a great day. Today we are looking at some new r/malicious compliance stories. I hope you enjoy them. The first story is called I'd always try to find her to tell her goodbye. This happened when I worked at a hardware store as a part-timer during my gap year. We had gotten a new assistant store manager, Jen, and nobody liked her. She had decided early on from her transfer that she was going to change how the staff worked in our store. Jen had been transferred to our store for about a week when she scheduled meetings with my department. I worked in the paint department. She sat me down and the meeting seemed to be going well. Oh, how wrong I was. Hi, so I was looking at your time clock. You are very punctual and arrive at each shift 10 or 5 minutes early. But I also see that as soon as your shift ends, you clock out. Why is that? I was kind of dumbfounded. Because I'm a part-timer and I don't get paid for overtime like the full-time employees. That, and it's when my shift ends. She nods her head. Yes, but I've heard that you don't check with your team members and will leave them high and dry. I'm now insulted as I have never done that and I have a feeling that it's the old hag in my department that told her this lie. I have never left a customer like that. I always check with my team before I clock out. Well, you need to be more of a team player. If you see your team is behind with customers, then you can't leave them until all customers are helped. Then you can clock out. I agreed and went on with my day. And I did exactly that for the next 2 work weeks. It also just so happened that our store was having a 2-week-long 4th of July special sale going on for paint. Maria, the department manager, had scheduled me mid-shift from 12 to 6 for those 2 weeks. I did exactly as Jen said and didn't leave at my scheduled time. The entire 2 work weeks I would be staying 2 to 3 hours past my scheduled shift until the rush ended, then clock out at around 8 or 9 that evening. Maria had pulled me aside, wanting to know why I was staying so late past my shift. I know you know better than to stay past your scheduled shift. The latest you can stay past your shift is 15 minutes, then you have to clock out. I know, Maria. Jen is the one that told me I need to be more of a team player and can't clock out until all customers have been helped. We've been slammed the past 2 weeks because of the huge sale we had. And I can't leave my team high and dry. I'm going to have a word with her and the store manager. So Maria set up a meeting with Jen and the store manager. The store manager found out from payroll that I had accumulated a little over 40 hours as a part-timer. Normally, they wouldn't pay me, but state labor laws say that if an employee works over 40 hours, they have to pay me. So Jen got her butt chewed out by the store manager. She didn't get fired, but she was warned to never tell a part-timer to stay past their shift ever again. I'd always try to find her to tell her goodbye as I left the store after my clocking out at my scheduled time. The next story is called I was fired for this. So for a little bit of background information, I was attending an animal care course in college. And as part of the course, I was required to complete a work experience. My manager was notoriously difficult to work with and seemed to enjoy making people's lives difficult. I had been working there for several months on weekend basis. And this time I had only minor problems with the manager so far, such as her asking me to eat my lunch on the counter in full view of customers. This made me very uncomfortable and a few customers even asked my manager why I was doing this. But one day I was given the task of unloading an unusually large delivery after the store had been cleared out by an animal event in town needing a lot of supplies. I told my manager that the shelves couldn't hold anywhere near the amount she had ordered. But she requested that I do it anyway. I pulled up the safety sheet which clearly outlined the maximum weight per shelf. But she insisted. I had just finished loading up all the shelves and saw them visibly bending under the way. So I informed the manager, only to get told that that was normal and went back downstairs to attend my other duties. 5 minutes go by and a crash rings throughout the entire store. We all head upstairs and find virtually every shelf demolished and thousands of pounds of equipment in tatters. The manager immediately blames me in full view of the entire shop, despite the fact that all the staff clearly knew she was at fault for this. Regardless, I was fired, and the letter of termination was mailed to my tutor, which led to a meeting with my manager, me, my tutor, and the principal of the college. Upon hearing my side of the story, my tutor accompanied me to the store so she could investigate. She had found that the shelves were built improperly and had also been jury-rigged together after breaking previously. After this was found, the store was blacklisted from the approved work experience providers list for the entire district. And she was facing severe charges for blatant health and safety violations. A few months go by and a lack of customers and employees led to her having to sell the job. The third story is called They Need to Call Me. Flat broke and with limited work experience, I moved to my new college town and landed a job doing security. It was a super small company ran by an extremely stern former cop. He was extremely formal and very conservative. I was basically walking sunshine at the time, so our personalities didn't exactly mesh. Despite his obvious disdain, he hired me anyway. Within a day, I was sent immediately to a medium-sized beverage factory. I hit the floor running. I knew a couple of the workers from my hometown and had just met a couple of the guys at a recent party. So things started off great. A couple of weeks in, there's a break-in by some kids in the back. No big deal, everything worked out. The beverage company general manager came out and personally thanked me. Over the next few weeks, the general manager has me do a couple of things for him here and there. Nothing special, just a little odds and ends. He comes to me outside and tells me, "Hey, I need you to tell your boss at the security guard company a few things. We need the night guard to stay an hour later for a week. And we need you guys to stop wearing the silly hats that go with your uniform. This isn't the army. You've met him, right? You won't want to hear any of this from me. He's gonna call you. No, I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to you." I relay the message to my boss and he's furious. He tells me in no uncertain terms are they to tell me anything about anything. Whatever they tell you, don't tell me. I don't want to hear it. You have to tell the GM to tell me. It's the basic chain of command. So of course the next day I see the GM and he tells me about 4 other things that he needed me to do. I explain to him what the boss said to me about relaying any information. He smiles and tells me, well, tell him that we probably go with another company if he doesn't call me in 10 minutes exactly. I call the boss as instructed and he is already furious when he answers the phone. I told you, don't tell me anything. They call me. I don't run my company by you. So I didn't tell the boss, as instructed, that he had to call the manager within 10 minutes. So the boss calls him much later in the day and loses it. Tempers flared and 2 weeks later I'm working at the factory. But under a new security company, as the boss sold it before he lost his biggest client. Thanks for watching so far. I hope you are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, it is really important for the channel. Also, please comment down below, even something like an emoji can help. And now, on to the last story. The next story is called I'm Not Doing It Like That. I used to work part-time at a sandwich shop during college, about 9 to 10 years ago. The shop had a high turnover rate and I was there the longest. So I basically learned everything in the store. One day we had a health inspector come in to evaluate the food safety, temperature readings, food storage and such. I had to slice the tomatoes for the night shift and the inspector took issue with the dirty slicer and asked if it had been cleaned first. I said yes. He asked if I used the wire scrub. I said no, you don't put your fingers near the blades, you just spray it off and dunk it in sanitizer. He chastised me. So I was like, okay, show me how to clean it properly then. If there was a way to do it right without getting hurt, then I was willing to learn. My coworker and I stood there and watched him jam the wire scrub between the blades and pull it back. And of course, it got stuck. He shoved it forward again, jamming his knuckles into the blades. He started bleeding everywhere. My coworker had to shut himself in the walk-in freezer. He was laughing so hard. I just looked at my manager trying to help this idiot inspector get a towel and whatnot and said, yeah, I'm not cleaning the slicer like that. The last story is called Amateur Firefighters. My dad is retired now, but had been employed full-time at a fire department. There was a police station down the street, and the cops would stop in from time to time. There was one big tough guy cop, let's say Bruce, that stopped in a lot. Bruce really enjoyed the friendly banter, which usually involved how much bigger, stronger and better at everything he was compared to most of the firefighters. One day my dad's unit was doing some training out back when Bruce stopped by. Bruce started in about how he could put out any fire no problem, and could be a better firefighter than anyone there. It just so happened that they were igniting a block of magnesium when he said that. Bruce grabbed the closest fire extinguisher to him, a soda acid extinguisher. It's basically pressurized water. My dad says, "Stop it! You can't use that one because..." Bruce cuts him off and says, "Out of my way, kid! I'll show you amateurs how it's done. You shouldn't use that fire extinguisher, but okay." So Bruce steps up, everyone else steps back, and Bruce lets loose. A huge cloud of flames, sparks, smoke and steam go shooting up and out in every direction, essentially enveloping Bruce. He screeches like a 5-year-old, throws the extinguisher 30 feet in the air and runs away past a crowd of firefighters laughing. Bruce's ego was hurt, but that was it as far as injuries go. He still came around a lot, but cut back on the amateur firefighter bit. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment and subscribe for more content. Have a great day and stay safe. Bye bye.